Okay, everybody, the reason why I'm wearing my headlamp is because I'm out ghost hunting with Vegas Paranormal tonight. So I got my equipment. I'm ready to do it, and let me see how oh boy, the light really works. Okay, so I got Vegas from Vegas Paranormal. Um, their group basically, I think, just started. Vegas, how did you get interested in the paranormal, and when did your group start?
Uh, so the paranormal has been a part of my life for a long time, and we've been investigating for a while. But when we moved to Vegas, um, it pretty much started around, I think, like 2021, 2022. But I came up with the name Vegas Paranormal because I live in Vegas and we hunt the paranormal.
That makes sense.
So
Now, I seen that you investigated the Washoe Club, and so have I. I've investigated that, and there was an opera house. In fact, you know what? I didn't even get any evidence out of the Washoe Club, but I got all kinds of evidence out of the opera house. Um, we did it like we started singing, and then I was recording, and I played it back, and there was a ghost singing right back to us. So that was kind of interesting. What was your experience at the Washoe Club?
so the first time I went, I didn't really get anything. But the second time I went, we actually captured four apparitions walk in front of my phone while I was live on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I actually have that video on my channel. I did take out the part where the apparitions walked in front of my phone, and you can literally see one tall dude walk in front of my phone, and then three people or spirits walking behind him, and they're actually shorter. It was pretty fun. And then we just recently investigated it this August, and oh my God, we got so much activity. Um, One of the spirits, or the spirits, actually used our friend as a human REM pod because he had the a heart monitor on. Now we were walking with him all day long because you know how Virginia City is; it's all hilly, right? So we were walking with him all day long. The monitor's not going off. As soon as we get into the Washoe Club, the monitor's going off. So he was our human REM pod for the whole entire time of our investigation, which I know that's not should be funny, but the people I hang out with, we pretty much make jokes of everything. So we kind of were like, "Oh, you're our human REM pod for the night." So it was kind of cool.
How many investigations have you been on, Vegas?
A lot.
A lot? Okay.
Seriously, a lot. Not as many as you have, but a lot.
What are some of your notable cases?
So what really got us started, we went to this abandoned hospital in California, and that was like my first ghost capture ever. And we I felt this thing the first time I went into this hospital, and it was crazy because I walked up to the door and I was like, "Oh my God," you know. And my husband's like, "You we're coming back for an investigation, aren't we?" I was like, "Yeah." So about maybe our fourth visit there is when I captured this crazy black mass entity looking thing staring back at my husband in a 3-second clip. So after that, that's all she wrote.
Huh. Now, when you were growing up, did you have paranormal experiences that happened to you?
Oh yeah. Um, the first one I can remember is when I was 15. I was in my room. I used to be a waitress, and I was counting my change. And I had this, you know, those stand-up lamps that you used to turn on and turn off, click on and off. Um, that actually turned on and off by itself. And I watched the thing turn to turn on, and I watched the thing turn to turn off. So ever since then, it's just been periodically throughout my life until I fully accepted it.
Would you consider yourself a psychic medium or a sensitive or an empath?
Um, I don't really, I don't have a label for it. I can sense spirits. I know when they're there. I can hear them periodically. I can feel energy. I don't know what that is because everyone's gifts are different, you know.
That's cool. I see that also too. You met Ghost Adventures. How did that come about?
Friends, uh, friends that I investigated with put my name in their ear, and we got invited to go on a location. And I had met Zach maybe prior to that, maybe a month prior to that, at his museum.
And you want to do an investigation with them, huh?
Eventually, when the
Eventually.
time's right. When the time's right, it would be cool.
Zandine's one of my paranormal investigators, so he probably has some questions for you. Phil, he's sort of like an armchair investigator. He actually has found evidence using Google Earth. I mean, he
Oh
got a
shit!
full body apparition right at a funeral home. Yeah, so
Oh wow.
that's kind of interesting. So, Zandine, you got anything you want to ask her?
Oh yeah. So what was the scariest investigation you had? That
When I
actually.
got bit by.
Okay.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no no. Yeah, yeah, scary. Yeah.
When I got bit by a spirit,
Wow.
How
I
did
was
that
at.
happen? Yeah, let's.
I was okay. So I was at the Nevada State Prison, and I say Nevada differently because where I grew up, we said our A's ah instead of ah. So I say Nevada differently. But we were at the Nevada State Prison, and when that week I was off. I should have investigated that week, but I did, and I was off. And the spirits know that when you're having a rough week and you go investigate, the spirits will know when you're off your game, and they'll take advantage of it. So we went inside, and we had just started investigating, and I was filming going up the stairs in the whatchamacallit, the guard shack. And with
Sound like we got an EVP.
Don't worry, I muted him. Go ahead.
Where they at? Disembodied spirits, come on.
right, let's go. So I was walking up the stairs to the oh my gosh, the guards. It was like a guard shack inside the culinary, and I was live on YouTube, and I was like, filming, and I went to step down, and as I went to step down, it's like the step disappeared, like it disappeared, and I was like, and I almost fell, and I almost hit the wall, and at that time my foot rolled, and I was like, okay, so I was live during the whole thing, so the whole thing is on YouTube. And later, maybe about an hour later, I went to the office because I really wanted to check out the damage. And I had a bite mark on my foot. Now, mind you, I had a pair of boots on, I had 3 pairs of socks on, so that shit's impossible, right? So I kind of was like, nah, nope, nope. I refused to accept it. I was like, nope, nope, nope. So I went back, tried to investigate, and the pain was so excruciating that I was like, you know what? I can't do this. I was like, y'all investigate without me. I can't do this. And Susan was like, no, you can't do that to us. I said, have fun. Go do what you got to do. I'm gonna sit this one out because my foot hurts so bad. So I checked my foot again. Bite mark was still there. And I was like, all right. So we pretty much finished everything up. We went to the hotel, Went to the hotel, had to scoot up the stairs because I couldn't walk. Finally got to the hotel room. Bite mark was still there. So I took a picture of it. Next morning, it was gone. Bruises don't go away like that.
How did you take a picture of it while it was bruised?
Yes, yes.
So how
It's on
big?
my,
How big did it look like? A human size bite or an animal size bite? Like what did it look like?
it does look like a human bite. I think I shared it with Mr. Paul.
Paul, I muted you before when the dogs were growling. If you're gonna talk, you gotta unmute yourself again. Sorry.
No, that's okay. You sent it to me?
I think so in Messenger.
Okay. You know what? Sometimes I get so many messages on there. It's like, so I get overwhelmed. I'll have to check it out. I was going to ask you, what do you think about orbs?
That's a good one. Dancing orb. Okay, so orbs are dancing. So dust and orbs are two different things. Orbs, they dance and they go in a different direction. Like with orbs, they go like this, they go all over the place. Dust flows in one direction. And orbs also have color to them.
Okay, do you think it's a spiritual containment field?
No. Yes
No?
and no.
Do you
Yes
think
and no.
they record us?
Huh?
Do you think that orbs record us?
I think they're curious about us. That's why they
Okay.
always like come in your face sometimes. Like little
Well,
ball lights in your face.
Vegas, this is something you can do. Okay. You know, orbs can be almost anything. It could be dewdrops, it could be lint, it could be dust, it could be light refractions, whatever. But if you can show that that orb has intelligent movement, that is something that you can deem as paranormal. And like one of my cases, we kept on seeing this one orb and it looked the same. So I said, hey, I said that one of my investigators, he was all drained, he was fatigued, he had to sit down. And I said, Emily, the ghost is probably draining you because she drains the occupants. So I told the orb or Emily, I said, Emily, I said, kiss my investigator on the mouth. And the orb actually positioned itself on his mouth. And this was taken with 3 cameras. That showed intelligent movement. Then I told Emily, I said, go ahead and sit on his lap. And the orb hovered over his lap, totally showing intelligent movement. And what you can do, like in your investigations, is place your hand up on the wall. And if you keep on seeing the same orb, say, hey, appear by my hand. And I have all these pictures of where the orb is actually on my hand or on my investigator's hands.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't really
That's
get a lot of orb activity though.
Sandy, it looks like you want to say something.
No, you know, I was thinking of when I did that Paranormal Soul Brother episode on Ghost Avalanche, I did it on what's the girl's house we went to that had all the orbs at 3:30 in the morning. Anyway, I'm gonna send it to you, Vegas Paranormal, so you could. It's a really good episode. They call me Paranormal Soul Brother. It's like James Brown Ghostbusting, right? But it's real results. You know, like I play around. I have a little humor in it, but all the guests, you know, they always are really compelling. This one particular lady, Paul, he wasn't tired of her, but she'll call you 24/7 because there's so much shit happening at her house. So Paul says, man, why don't you deal with her? So we went over there the first time, and I mean, like, she had like millions of orbs at this one spot that were like bubbles. I mean, coming, going everywhere. But she said that there was a light entity in the alleyway that they were going to. She said, can you come see it? Can you come see it? So drove over to her house, and sure enough, there was this big light apparition. I mean, maybe about 6 feet tall, and all the orbs were going to it. So I was thinking, well, what is this? Because it was in the alleyway. Most times she has a spot right in the backyard where it goes to all her house, everywhere. Like in 3:30 a.m., you know, they always talk about that time. But at the same time, she would have the UFOs. She would have things knocking out. Now let's talk about orbs. That what Paul said, and I know you've probably seen this. You know how they have some orbs that are, like I said, all orbs aren't equal, but they have some orbs that fly and do what they do, but they have the ones that actually open doors, lift handles, operate switches, and you see them. You've seen them on Paranormal Caught on Tape, Ghost Adventures, where they go by, like say one goes by a beer tap, and the beer tap pull, like that's the energy type orb. So she had those type at her house where you could physically see them knock over things. We filmed all of it. Like I got so much. I had like 3 episodes off that house. It was so much. UFOs, handprints, apparitions. I mean, they had the 7-foot dude with like nothing but ribs, shoulder, no shirt on, just trousers. And she told me she was scared as hell when I came over there. If I would have saw this myself, I would have been spooked. I did see the picture. Then she had another guy by the couch, but these orbs were so active at the house. It was knocking over lamps, posting in the corner by the camera. You film it, move right next to. I mean, really crazy stuff. So, but I'd like to ask you, you know, with all your investigations in the paranormal, haven't you come across like UFO activity as well?
I've come across some strange things when driving for my job.
Vegas,
like,
yeah. I went hunting in Vegas, and you know what? There's nowhere to freaking park when you're trying to sky watch. It's all these gated communities or these blocks where if you get caught by the police just sitting watching, it's like, it's no reason to be there. It was kind of hard to sky watch there. I went to the location where that guy films from his roof. He has that channel on YouTube. He does all like the infrared camera. But I went to that spot where his house was, and it's all gated. There's nowhere you can really park to.
Yeah, there is.
Well, the part where I went to, he lived in a gated community, so I didn't have the sidewalks. But probably other parts of Vegas. But that's where I went to, and I was like, wow, man, I really wanted to, you know, take my time and look, but I couldn't.
There's a spot in, it's off of Hollywood. It's over near Kathleen Elementary School, and it's right behind the, it's like Hollywood, it's Aquatic Center, and it's off of Hollywood Drive, and you get a great view of Vegas. But it's off of Hollywood Drive. So if you ever come back, go to that street, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay. You know, the UFO, Vegas UFO Club, they actually took me to spots like kind of more in the mountains. One thing I noticed about that Vegas club up there, the UFO club up there, they don't say much in their meetings or on the internet, and they don't even act like they have footage. But if you go up there, those guys have so much incredible stuff. I mean, ghosts, EVPs, UFOs, everything. I mean, those guys are, you know, they're lit. But I thought you might. Have you ever contacted any guys from the UFO group in Vegas?
It's not really my thing because I like who I am as an individual, and once you start messing with the UFO and that world, from what I understand, they'll change who you are as an individual. So that's why I haven't gone near Area 51. Closest I got was to the highway, and I was like, okay, we're good. I see what I need to see. I'm good. Only because I like who I am as a person.
Zandine, she's basically saying, hey, I'm a ghost hunter. Screw the freaking UFOs.
I always ask, you know what? I always ask because 60% of the investigations I've gone on, most of them had seen UFOs. The energy is connected as far as I'm concerned. A lot of people even think, they think it's demons. You know, that's what most people say. But as far as changing, your truth is your experience. Like for me, I mean, I got something stronger that's anchoring me. So, I mean, I'm protected. So, I mean, some people, you know, I mean, it depends on how you come at them, what your constitution is, but you got to protect yourself no matter what. So,
yeah. And Zandine, I bet you if I gave you a chance, you'd be talking about the Vegas alien encounter with that family who saw those tall aliens in their backyard.
Well, that was the one. Well, you know what? People kind of poo-pooed on that, but the problem is when they interviewed the kids, like, see, when I've been in houses like this and I see that the guest, when I saw him talking, I realized that he saw some shit that really, it was just out of the police's league. He said, hey, when they came back to the house, it wasn't about the aliens anymore. Now it's about some spiritual haunted shit, because him and the brother saw a Bible in the middle of the room and the pages got torn out. And when he went over to the Bible, it dropped to the floor. Now, when he said this, he was already like, look, man, I don't care what you guys think. They've already pulled guns out, wondering if, what is this? So they're in the house, two brothers, getting way more paranormal activity behind this. So that case is not stopped. They're tortured. And like what she said, sometimes it might change you. That stuff did change them, because their whole paradigm.
You can't even find the house anymore.
Yeah, those guys, they really seeing what happened to them afterwards, and just seeing like.
Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and ask Vegas, what places in the world would you like to investigate? Hey, you guys, calm down.
Well, the one place that I would love to investigate, I can't because it costs a lot of money, is in Alcatraz.
Where?
San Francisco right now. I'd take you if you were here, so we go.
I would love to go to Alcatraz
Okay.
because it's just such a beautiful spot, and the activity and the history behind that. There's places that I wish I could go back to, like the Eastern State Penitentiary. I wish I could go back to that, but I don't live on the East Coast anymore, so I'm pretty much, doing a lot of stuff on the West Coast. But one spot that I'd love to go to, which is in the works, is Missouri. And there's another spot, which is Old Pittsburgh State Hospital, which is in Tennessee, which we're also in the works with that. Once the plane flights, $2,000 for two people to go to Tennessee from Vegas, $2,000 for economy.
Huh.
I was like, wow, okay. That's kind of up there, but whatever.
When I went to Alcatraz, I really didn't get that much evidence. It was kind of surprising. I mean, I was trying to get EVPs and everything else, but I didn't get nothing. So I do believe it's haunted. Don't get me wrong, but it's just I had a bad day. I just didn't get nothing.
And that happens sometimes. It really does. It happens. Like, we just did an investigation Thursday, and here I am thinking that the spirits are being quiet, and the whole time they're giving us a freaking show. And I heard some of them, and I'm like, okay, they didn't make my equipment go off, but they gave us a show on camera. So it just depends on the spirits.
Well, Phil has something to say.
Well, Vegas is known for its mafia connections. The mob took over probably in the 1950s. Even earlier than that, I guess, with Bugsy Siegel and all that type of thing. And everybody's heard stories about bodies in the desert. As soon as you go outside of town, the desert's literally loaded with bodies, like, a big cat box, but with human bodies buried. And even like Lake Mead, when it was drying up, they found like bodies in barrels and anything like that. So, yeah, with that in mind, is there anything that you've focused on where you're like, all right, we're going to go look for some mafia ghosts or something connected to those type of things? Seems like it's your backyard. It'd be the cool thing to check out.
I don't want to mess with the mafia. They're still here.
Not even the dead mafia.
They were powerful living. They're probably powerful in the dead. Let it be. Leave them alone.
Outside of that, I mean, that kind of is the identity of Vegas, right? I mean, prior to the casino days of Vegas, what else was Vegas except a watering hole in the middle of the desert? So, like, where is your activity coming from if it isn't related to the gaming industry?
I don't hunt in Vegas though. I
You
don't
live in
play in
Vegas?
Vegas.
You don't hunt in Vegas?
Everyone asks that. Yeah, I don't hunt in Vegas. No, I work here, then I go play in other cities and states. My best captures have been outside of Vegas. Like my best captures have been mostly in California, mostly in northern Nevada, some on the East Coast. I mean, we've done Trans Allegheny. I've been to Gettysburg. At any place but Vegas is where I capture most of my activity, like
So
Tonopah, Goldfield.
it seems a little costly, you know. It's I lived in Sacramento for 23 years, and you know, although that ghost hunting wasn't my specialty, when I was doing documentaries, you couldn't help but run across the history and some eerie things, because there's a lot of
Yeah.
bodies in that town too.
Yeah, like I do a lot of Vegas history. I do a lot of the old casinos. I do I put whatever interests me, I'll put it together and then I'll put it in a video. So I mean, I do cover Vegas history on the channel. But it's like I just covered one where a guy opened up a casino, but he was actually using the casino to distract other people from how can I word this without getting we're doing nasty with inappropriate
Yeah.
Yeah,
ages.
this
Ages,
isn't. Oh, he was a pedophile.
pretty much. There you go.
Sucker.
So he used a casino. He opened up a casino. He made it cheap. He made it at, where people could come in to hide what he was actually doing. And I've recently just did a video on that. And hopefully no one copyrights it or copy strikes it, because I just had someone copy strike, or not copy strike, but get one of my videos pulled down because I talked about the Kevorkian van that's in Zach Bagan's museum. And even YouTube was like, "Are you okay? Do you need suicide hotline?" I'm like, over a video? What?
Yeah, you have to. If YouTube is crazy. I made a sorry, Zandy. I made a short recently, and you know, when you fill out the tag section, I made the mistake of putting the word Nazi in there. Well, it instantly like froze everything up. I had to go back, redo it, and make sure that word was not in there, because YouTube is just absolutely, you can't even discuss things. It's like,
Right.
no, I'm not promoting this, but it's a topic,
Just
and I don't think
talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think we should be able to, you know, just don't talk about this. That's yeah. How do you learn about anything if you're not allowed to talk about it?
Exactly. Like, the Kevorkian van was a huge part of history because of the simple fact that it was for people that had Alzheimer's. It was for people that had dementia. They actually asked him, Dr. Kevorkian, to take their lives because of the simple fact they didn't want to be here anymore. And that's basically what I was covering. But apparently someone got butthurt about it and reported it. And I was like, whatever. And it had a lot of views on it too, because people were curious about it. And I was like, wow. So, when you talk about history, you got to be careful what you talk about nowadays, which is dumb.
Talk about censorship. It's just absolutely freaking ridiculous.
Right?
So, anyway, I apologize, Zandine.
Oh no, not at all. I was just wondering if I even forgot my point. What she was saying was interesting. Actually, I was wondering. So, what was the actual word that got you kicked off? I got the video taken down.
Suicide.
What was that? Oh, okay.
Because it's a suicide van. That's what they called it. That's what the Kevorkian van was, a suicide van. Why people get mad about that? I mean, I wasn't promoting it.
No, but everybody uses the word unalive themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's what that is now.
Absurd. Yeah, you're not allowed to say the S word, Sandine, because YouTube will flag that. Like it's going to somehow incite people. It almost reminds me of the Satanic Panic days of heavy metal, where it's like, oh God, don't listen to Ozzy Osbourne, or you might unalive yourself.
Right.
It's absurd.
Or Marilyn Manson.
right?
Well, you know what
Vegas,
Anton LaVey
have you
did?
investigated? Oh, I'm sorry, Zandy.
No.
Have you investigated Lake Mead?
I tried, but it wasn't active because it's kind of hard to investigate Lake Mead because of the fact that there's, you got coyotes out there, you've got the wind, and then you've got people out there that are, camping, you got boaters out there. So it really is kind of hard to investigate Lake Mead. So when that one group that a lot of people don't agree with, was running down Lake Mead screaming, "Oh my God, oh my God." It was, we think it was coyotes because there are coyotes that stay out there. There's, scorpions, there's, whatchamacallit, tarantulas, you got a lot of bugs out there. So you really can't really investigate it unless you go out to a spot that has like no water and is in the middle of nowhere.
Okay. Zandy, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying that I was just adding on her point. I wasn't saying anything.
Phil?
I got your tongue?
Well, the Hoover Dam, unfortunately, getting access to something like that other than taking a tour, everybody's heard
Someone
stories.
just jumped off the Hoover. Sorry, but someone just jumped off the Hoover Dam.
So yeah, so you have that type of activity. You also have the fact that I think there's stories about people having died during the making of it, or even still being buried in the dam itself. Have you ever just taken a tour or picked up anything, even if you weren't investigating?
Whenever I go to the Hoover Dam, because I do go there when it's a little bit chilly, and I do an update, on the water. I feel it's creepy up there. Even during the day, it's got this vibe that's just really creepy, and it's mostly because that people have jumped off the bridge, the Hoover Dam bridge, and it's that there's people that are there stuck. We just recently had a death and they can't find them. Someone, I think it was Saturday or Sunday, just jumped off the Hoover Dam and they cannot find him. So crazy.
Over here, we have a place called Forest Hill Bridge, and it's also too called Suicide Bridge. And it's in Auburn, California. And we did an investigation at the bottom of the bridge, and we did obtain a lot of EVPs. And one of our photographs, we captured a blurry anomaly in our photograph, and it was in the shape of a human body. And
Wow.
yeah, and also too, they made that movie. What was it? Fast and Furious. Fast and Furious was filmed at that bridge.
What scene?
Phil, have you been there? Forrest?
No, I haven't been at that bridge, but yeah, sorry. And I'm not sure what scene, Lisa, because I'm not a big Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen one of those movies. My brother always razzes me about it.
I haven't even
We
seen
had
one.
Zandine, you live by Forest Hill. Have you been Forest Hill Bridge?
No, I've never been there. No.
You never been there? Okay. Huh.
we had
No.
a bridge.
I'm sorry, my mic. You know what? My mic is. So I apologize. I want to ask you, Lisa, if you find something that's really scary to you, like something you felt you couldn't handle or really scared, who would you call out to help you for protection? What would you do?
So when we were at the Nevada State Prison, because I did actually have to call one of my spirit guides. There was a guy that was there. It was a group event, and there was a guy there. He was taunting the spirits in the D unit, which is at the top of the hill of the Nevada State Prison. And he kind of sort of got attacked. I wouldn't say possessed, but he got attacked. But it seemed like a possession. And I actually had to call Angel Michael down to kind of release whatever had a grab on him. And after we did that, you could definitely feel his energy get intense. You could definitely feel the release of whatever had him. And that was the first time I ever had to do that. And I don't do it often. I only do it in a dangerous situations, but I don't try and put myself in dangerous situations, because if a building screams danger, I don't go to it. Like the hospital, it literally, when you go up to this hospital in California, the one where I captured the entity from, it literally looks like it wants to eat you alive. Like you go up to that thing at nighttime, and the building just looks like it wants to chomp you up. I swear to God. But it's not dangerous. You know, it's just eerie. But I don't put myself in dangerous situations, only because I know what these spirits can do. You know, I know what they're capable of. I've seen it. You know, I've witnessed some crazy shit in my life that I'm just like, wow. I mean,
So,
we've had, go ahead.
are you a Christian? Are you a religious at all?
I'm spiritual.
Okay. Okay.
Lisa, what does your husband think about ghost hunting?
He is a facilitator, so he actually helps enhance spiritual activity, because that's one of his gifts. And it drains the shit out of him, but it helps investigations come out more. You know, like it helps the activity come out more. It because what it is the spirits are using him for energy to give us evidence, or whoever else evidence, or just to be who they are and come out and just be active.
Are you just
Very
going to be a Are you just going to be a husband and wife team, or are you going to bring more members in?
So we originally, when we first moved here, it was me and the hubby, and then we recently had a person with us that was a part of our team, but he actually passed away last year, which he was my brother.
Shit.
So yeah, and the paranormal took him, and that's what I'm gonna leave it at, is the paranormal took him. And so we were actually a 3-person team for a while there. Anytime we investigated, he was with us. Anytime we did stuff, he was with us. But as of right now, it's just me and the husband until I find that third person.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think you would have liked my team. My team had like 30 members.
That's a lot of contamination.
It got carried away. Then when Zandine joined, I broke it down to I think like 10 members. Yeah, but yeah, it was 30 members. Oh, we used to get a lot of drama too.
Yeah. When you have so many people, it's a lot of drama. When you have people, it's when you have like more than 5 people, and then everyone's like, you know, I'm gonna be this lead investigator. I'm gonna be yo.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, people want to tell you how to do the investigation before long, you know, and it's like, you know what Paul does? If people start getting like that on Paul's investigation, like to the side, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? Paul will just say, hey, you know what? If you want to start your own team, you can start your own team at any time, and you can do
Right.
your own thing.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
Because it's
and
about
so, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, Paul, you get a lot of stuff though. You know, one thing about Paul though, he comes in there, and if people don't recognize the formality because he's not trying to push you or put his thing on you, you might not understand the results that you're about to get, because you think, Paul's not going to push you and tell you, hey, do this or do that. But if you go on enough with him, you'll see he has his expertise. And if you let him do his thing, you can learn some stuff. But, some people, they watch TV, they got all these, pre-notions. And so they want to come in there gang busting. So,
yeah, whenever I go and investigate, I pretty much tell spirits, I'm like, this is your world. I'm just recording you. I'm like, you guys, if you want to give me evidence, go for it. I'm like, I'm just here to record you. I'm just here to let you do your thing. I was like, I'm gonna be over here, but hey, if you want to call me over here, I let the spirits do their thing because it's still their world. We're
I like
just there, like we're invading their bubble, and a lot of people don't understand that you're invading their bubble. So if you go in there with an open personality, a bubbly personality, you're gonna have more evidence if you just go in there and be yourself and have fun because
it's a good tip.
I don't know how this happened, but we're in the D unit in another investigation at Nevada State Prison, and I'm singing Oompa Loompa. Okay, I don't know how this happened. I'm singing Oompa Loompa, and out of nowhere, this random spirit goes 7, and I'm like, what the. But at the same time, I was responding to one of the doors moving. I heard the EVP, but I was being myself. And when you talk amongst each others, I'm gonna tell you right now, spirits love it when you don't focus on them. They love it because then they like to blurt into your conversation. I've had so many conversations where I was talking to my brother, and out of nowhere we heard a, and I'm like looking at him, he's looking at me, and I'm like, did you hear that? He's like, yeah, it sounded like this. And I'm like, yeah. And then I capture it on camera. So spirits love it when you're just talking amongst yourself because they like interrupting you to see if you heard them.
Good
And
point.
I've been on enough investigations to know that talking amongst yourselves, it's a lot better than when was the year you died? What's your name? What year is it? So asking the same questions over and over and over and over. I think they get tired of that shit.
Yeah, you just get to talking. That's a good point. That's like the way you came across that knowledge shows how skilled you are, how much you've been doing it, like off the record. Because have you ever played a video game where you did something accidentally and you're like, how did I do that? And you waited and you accidentally did it another time, but after a while you figured out how to do it. You just
Right.
because so that same thing, how you that point you explained about just letting the ghost talk as you talk. That's one of those things you only learn from going on a number of investigations. You know what I mean? So that's a good point.
It is, and if people would go in there with, being humble, they'll have more evidence. And if people go in there respecting the spirits, they'll get more evidence. But if you sit there and go in and demand the spirits to light off your kappa, or demand the spirits to set off your REM pod, or demand the spirits to speak to you, they're gonna look at you like you stupid.
Well, Lisa, I do have one contention. Paul, a lot of times when me and Paul are in a place, he gets EVPs pretty much like I'd say like 95% of the time. But when we're having not difficult time, when it's kind of dry, you didn't get as many, Paul will say some shit. And it gets reaction every time. I'm like, Paul, dirty it up a little bit. But when he dirties it up, it happens. But you're right. In general, you can't take that approach. It doesn't seem like.
Yeah,
But Paul,
I've done that.
Paul, you do get dirty.
I did that every once in a while. I'll be like, yo, all right, you starting to aggravate me a little bit. What's going on, man? And the crazy part is, then we don't realize we're getting evidence. It's just not to the physical eye or to the equipment, but it's EVP night. You know what I'm saying? Like when your equipment's not going off, that means that they're responding to you in camera. But if it's a night where you're getting apparitions and shit like that, and you're feeling dizzy and you're feeling tired and stuff, and you go back and watch your footage and you're just like, holy shit, all this was going on and I didn't realize I was capturing all this shit. What the holy crap? Like when we just recently did the California Clown Museum. Oh my God, what a location. This place, it is insane active. Like we were in the killer clown room and I had heard footsteps upstairs above us, right? And the owner has said that he's heard footsteps many, many, and many a times. I shit you not. In my video, well, because I had a camera upstairs, I had cameras in different rooms. I shit you not, all you hear is thud, 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 thud. So what I was hearing, I was actually capturing on my phone, and it was amazing. First time ever captured footsteps in an investigation, which was freaking amazing to us.
Footsteps are the shit. Footsteps are the shit, especially when you hear the little kids' footsteps, and you know it's not like some clunker or something. You know, when you hear that shit like those little tiny shoes. Yeah. I mean,
It's
I don't know
amazing.
which one you heard, but yeah, footsteps are the shit too. I love them.
I love it. I love, and it's crazy too. Some of the EVPs that I get spirits tell me to go to hell. Oh my God, those are my spirit animals. When you tell me to go to hell yes, you're telling the truth. You're speaking it how it is. Go to hell. Sweet. You're speaking my language because you have the same energy I do. You know what I'm saying? I love it when I get intelligent EVPs. I actually got I get a lot of them that will respond. Sorry. Okay. I get a lot of them that will respond to me. They'll answer me. They'll, but it'll be like, and a lot of people don't realize, okay, here's another thing. The spirits are in a different realm. So they're on a different time. So when you ask them a question, you need to give them space and time to answer that question. A lot of people will go, what year is it? And then they'll go into, what's your name? And they won't give them time to answer. So when you're asking that one question and then you get, it's like 19, whatever, 5 to 10 minutes later, they're answering you in that first question, because we actually had that happen at the Clown Museum. We asked one of the spirits to set off the cap off. And then Mr. Steven and I were talking, and then the cap all went off. And he's like, oh my God. And I was like, you literally just asked the spirit to set off the cap all. So in that time frame, it finally understood, it finally responded, but maybe I think it was like 5 minutes later, because people don't understand. They're on a different light year or time than we are, because they're in a different realm. So, and a lot of people don't understand that, like, that are just starting this, a lot, we understand it, because people out there don't.
Lisa, do you do demon cases?
No.
That's what.
No.
Yeah. I'm conflicted. I'm conflicted with the ghost hunting now because, like, for what I believe in, actually necromancy, all this stuff, it's like counterfeit. It's a probate mystery. There's something greater than that. It's Enochian magic. There's stuff that's greater, but people, their highest source, some people don't know the source of a lot of these magics and demonology. So the thing of it is, from, people talk about the Gilgamesh epic versus the Bible copying it, or Sumerian tablets, or Göbekli Tepe. They talk about all these publications of myths and gods, but the way I look at it is, whatever you call this highest source or whatever, Samyaza for me is the highest source, the solution to sorcery. He was called out by a very high being. I mean, for what I believe, he was called out from a very high being. He said, like, damn you, why did you give him the solution to sorcery? Signing, grinding roots and herbs. He was mad at that because that art was given, handed down before it was any love, before the person could really understand what they were using. So people that believe in Anunnaki or fallen angels come down here and do what they did. I mean, whether it happened or not, if it happened actually like that, the highest source of spirits has to be something for somebody. So do you believe in the devil?
I know it exists.
Yeah. Well, and see, a lot from what I believe, the devil is not even the highest source of mischief. I mean, Samyaza's over him. They had Samyaza, Yakan, Armistice. A lot of people think those fallen angels, as that story goes, they think that they came down here and saw the human women and like, we want to mate with them, we desire them. But when in actuality, it was progeny. They were up there already thinking about, hey, this is what we want to do. They even, as the story goes, they ordered 200 of every animal. So they procreated with the animals as well, and they could talk to them. They made races, creatures, like some of the cryptids that we don't know about or we haven't studied. They talk about that. But the sorcery that was given. You see, the Phoenicians are still following that. Nowadays, when you have like the Druids left over from Phoenician society, all the symbols that we have integrated in our society, they actually came from the fallen angel magic. And why I say that is because Gilgamesh, or if you want to call him Nimrod, the rich people seem to want to trace their bloodline to Nimrod. But what did Nimrod do? He used necromancy, channeling, Reiki, Ouija board, different things like that to supplement what he lost when he was following a higher power. But nobody ever said that that doesn't have any power. It's just what authority does all that sorcery and demonology have? But when Paul asked you about the demonology, the reason why I've been studying demonology, and they say you shouldn't because you might end up, so, but me feeling protected, the demonology helps me when I go out to investigations. A lot of people don't even know the source of power. They'll tell you, oh, it's my mother was a psychic, my auntie, it runs in the family. But I haven't really seen too many people with any knowledge of like what they're up against or where their power comes from. They just kind of go and roll with it, even on all these shows. But you got to be careful because some of the people that pay for those shows, they're actually more serious. They're more serious in demonology than you are. They know about counters, amulets, the origins. But now the schism. So if you believe in Christ, or if you're a Christian, and then you're a person that doesn't, and you acknowledge the demon side, you acknowledge demonology, what you'll find out is there's a pantheon. Say like in Iraq, 2,400 demons. In the Cabal, 3,600 demons. I mean, and they have history. They have ways you counter, ways you use them. And people always think of demons with horns or crazy bodies, but bad luck and misfortune.
Can actually be in people.
Yeah. And they can actually be in people, and bad luck and misfortune and things happening is another effect that people greatly misunderstand or underestimate about demons. They're looking for the physical presence, but it's a lot of their work all the way around. And some other religions do a lot more than say us Christians. I'm a Christian, but they do a lot more to counter and get into the nitty gritty. But as a Christian, I don't need any kind of holy water or bees or anything. It's really if I really, really believe what I'm thinking. So, I mean, that's what's worked for me. But it's different for everybody. But I've heard a lot of experienced investigators, people with PhDs, they say, oh, I exercise this place. And they say, well, what did you do? I used sage. I used, a Bible. I used holy water. I mean, they're just like trying anything, which is cool because that's the stuff you heard. So, but when Paul asked you about the demonology, that's what sparked that for me, because you doing investigations. I don't know what dark entities you're aware of. Like, Solomon has a catalog of 72 demons that he actually worked alongside humans, and he had power over them with a cedar ring. It was a cedar ring actually was able to make them build the second temple. Now that's a story that I don't know how much legs it has, but people really know the demons. They really know the spells. They really know how they want to use them and interact. So, like I always tell people in The Exorcist, you saw the demon Pazuzu, which is a Mesopotamian demon, but the Catholics were using it in that story. But a lot of people don't know about, like I said, the sources of these entities that are haunting these houses, that are giving these people these problems. Is it demonic?
I got to ask her something. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because we're running out of time. Okay. So you probably get phone calls where people need help with their ghosts or whatever. Now, when you get a call from somebody who has a demonic problem, do you just refer it to another group, or how do you handle that?
I really haven't gotten any of those calls yet, but I did have a friend that wanted her house cleansed, and I did that. But when I did cleanse her house, the energy complained that the energy was it had come back, and that's when I realized it was them as a family, that they kept bringing negative energy into their home. So I basically told her, I was like, I hate to do this, but you have to call somebody else, because your energy, you guys are constantly circling this energy around in your house, and I can't clear it, because when I do clear it, you guys are so negative that you bring it back into your home, so I was like, you guys got to figure something out. I was like, so I don't really get calls, and I really don't do them, only for the simple fact is because people create their own shit shows. You know, they create their own storms, they create their own shit shows. And it all depends on the person too, that if they do have these problems, they do need to look into their life and see what is causing all this madness that's going on in their house. Maybe it could be them, maybe it could be the property, but that's one thing that I don't mess with.
Okay, Lisa, also too, like, well, Phil here, he is a documentarian. He created a documentary in regard to Sacramento, the city of blood, and he's written books and stuff like that. He has seen a lot of negative stuff that happened in Sacramento, the history of Sacramento, murders and everything else. Do you go to places like that to investigate where they had murders and stuff like that?
We did do Moundsville Penitentiary when they
Mhm.
had the riot. Does anybody know about that?
Yeah, I heard about it. Yeah.
Okay, so that is one place that we did investigate, and we did get pretty good footage from that. There is a massacre site in Utah that I definitely want to go to, but everywhere and anything always keeps me from going to that site because I like my favorite thing is hospitals. I like prisons. I like asylums. I don't know what it is about those locations, but I'm very drawn to them. So I do those mostly, unless it's like a random spot or a spot that just falls into my lap or whatever. But there is a site that I definitely want to do, which is in Utah, and it's the massacre site. Uh, Eventually I'll get there, but they do interest me. Yes.
Is that the Mormon
Since you're in
massacre?
Utah? Oh, I'm sorry, Phil.
Is that the Mormon massacre you're talking about?
I think so. It's about an hour and a half from Vegas.
Yeah, you're talking like late 1800s.
Yes.
Yeah, the Mormon massacre, where the Mormons massacred a whole bunch of people. That's a highly controversial, part of American history.
Right.
Sorry, Paul. Go ahead.
No. Yeah. Phil, what were some of the places in Sacramento that you wrote about and these murders that happened? Places
Well,
that would be a great place for a ghost hunter to investigate.
Well, a lot of people have done the Dorothea Puente house. That's the pretty famous one right there in downtown, and it's obvious, easily accessible. The current owners have let a couple of different ghost hunting teams into it. There's a plaque
Really?
on the outside of it now. Yeah, there's a plaque on the outside of it now that says "Don't blame the house." It's funny. I used to have a friend who lived right across the street from it. I was there all the time back in the early '90s. Not early
You
'90s.
can investigate that house now?
Yeah, just
Oh, yeah.
contact current owners. They're very accommodating about letting people.
I've actually investigated it. Yeah.
What?
So-
So we can actually investigate that house now?
Yeah.
Dude, I've been wanting to investigate that house I did a stories on it. Oh
Yeah,
my
it's
God,
like a
that is good to
museum now.
know.
They have mannequins there. They got mannequins of a mannequin of Doretha Puente. Yeah, it's like a haunted house type thing. Yeah, it's open to the public. But I investigated it before they opened it to the public.
Dude, that's epic. Good to know.
Yeah.
Because if my best friend and I, we were actually talking about that a matter of fact, a couple weeks ago, because that's one of the spots we want to investigate.
We've actually investigated all kinds of serial killer sites, victim sites. We did the Vampire of Sacramento, um, Richard Chase, Vampire of Sacramento, all the victim sites, the houses where he murdered families and stuff like that. So, yeah, we've done a lot of serial killer stuff.
There's also
Wow.
the apartment building where Richard Trenton Chase lived is still there. So I've driven around that place and went up to the actual apartment that he's in. The golf course that he used to run across and traipse and hunt animals is there. Like Paul said, the houses of the victims are still there. If you go by the bridge downtown, There was the Mangler or the Strangler that, during World War II that did crimes in and around that area. There's 2 different sites where the Unabomber killed people in Sacramento. So there is a lot.
I-5 Strangler, Roger Kibbe, murder site, which is on Sutter and I-5. And we actually got a black orb hovering over the Sacramento River at that victim site.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You know what? It's interesting too is Sutter's Fort. If you ever want to do something there, Sutter's Fort has to be loaded with activity.
Oh,
and there's right across from Sutter's Fort, there's an elementary school, and that elementary school is actually built on top of one of Sacramento's earliest cemeteries.
And at Sutter Fort, I got an EVP of horse galloping, and there was no horse there.
Now, have you ever heard of Ghost Canyon?
What?
No, I have not.
Have you ever heard of I actually have. When we lived in Virginia, we used to go out and play in the Yorktown field. We went out at like 3 o'clock in the morning one time, and we literally heard ghost cannons, like when the actual cannons go off at 3 o'clock in the morning. This shit was crazy.
Wow.
Like, it's crazy how all of us have different experiences in different worlds, but in the same thing. It's so cool.
Like when you're driving down the road and you see crosses where people had accidents and they died, we actually did an investigation at these crosses on a street that was pretty much deserted. And we got to this one cross and we got an EVP of 2 women screaming and a car crashing.
Whoa.
Yeah. Because the residual energy still lingers there. Yes. So when we got that EVP, we were like, whoa. I mean, you can actually hear a car crashing and 2 women screaming. That's almost like the living ghosts, where this couple, they saw a man manifest going to the couch, slapping some woman. And the woman later on goes to a block party. She looks at some pictures and she goes, those are the ghosts in my house. And the host says, those are not ghosts. They lived in your house. There was domestic disputes. The police were there all the time. But the husband moved 5 blocks down the road and she moved out of state. They're very much alive. But their negative residual energy still lives on and it replays itself over and over again.
Did I tell you about the Richard Trenton Chase incident I had, Paul?
No.
So this is about as close to coming in face to face with a ghost that I've ever had, besides just hearing, things like that. I lived in old houses my whole life growing up, but I was doing a documentary that I was working on about Richard Trenton Chase, the vampire killer of Sacramento, and I was living in Carmichael. And so I would take my bicycle down to the mental institution where he was actually committed for a number of years. And at this mental institution, they used to let him actually walk the neighborhood and then come back in. They called him Renfield because he would eat bugs, birds, anything he could get his hands on. And so I had just got my first GoPro and had it on a bicycle, and it was really shaky footage. But I was coming around out of the parking lot of the old mental institution where he was committed, and made that right turn and noticed that the camera had stopped recording. And so I stopped the bike and I'm fiddling around with the camera and not paying attention to what's around me. And I look up and this guy walking right towards me is wearing an old green army fatigue jacket, long hair, mustache, and is like a dead ringer for Richard Trenton Chase. And so I'm fiddling with the camera, trying to get it going. And he walks past me and I turn around just as I get the camera going and he's gone. And so I went after him and tried to go through the neighborhoods. I could not find the guy. And it's dead ringer for the guy. I couldn't have planned it, if I wanted to.
It could have actually been him, his ghost. Because people are seeing the ghost of Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. So that's bizarre. Yeah, you probably ran into his ghost.
It was eerie.
Yeah.
So we're about at the top of the hour. Don't you have something after this, Paul?
Yeah, I have a radio show, and yeah, and I was supposed to go to Los Angeles Saturday. Um, Lisa, you ever heard of Kason G? No, he's a internet star, stuff like that. They were gonna fly me down there to do a bachelor party, and they're gonna fly me over to this ghost town outside of Los Angeles to do an investigation. But Disney cut their budget, so I'm here for the weekend. So that's cool.
There you go.
Hey, Lisa, thank you for being on the show. It was great talking
you.
to you.
You
Yeah,
too.
you have some fantastic information and stories and everything else. So I'll go ahead and put my thing back on. We'll go center right now.
Bet. Let's go.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Zandine.
You're
Thank you,
welcome,
Paul.
guys.
Thank you.
Very
Thank
good
you.
information.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right.